And that's what the pipeline did. And they're backed by KentuckianaWorks. The construction field is hard work. It's dirty. Sometimes you have long hours. Sometimes you could meet with layoff periods of not working, and it calls for you. You need to be smart. You have to budget your money and make sure that you're prepared for those times that you're not going to be out from work. You have to want it. You can't come into it with the attitude of what are they going to give me. You have to be able to follow orders, not have an ego, be humble, do what you're asked to do, and be diligent. When you're given a task, work at it as hard as you can and the best that you can, as fast as you can, but still be safe. I'm able to save money, pay my bills, take care of my kids again. I get to take care of my children the way I want to. That's my number one thing, is my kids. So I can provide for them, buy them things they need, some of the wants, take them places that I couldn't take them before, and not have to worry about how much is it going to cost, or well, I got to put a little bit with this, and then maybe next week we can do it, or I can just go do it.
All right, so one theme of my presentation today is that there's not any silver bullet, there's no magic answers. When I was looking for a job back in Boston in 1993, I kept thinking there has to be some secret door that if I just knock, it will open, right? And part of this is it's just about effort and applying yourself and all that kind of stuff. You all know that, and part of it is we need the economy to improve. But what I'm describing here is what Hank was describing is he had experience in construction, and he wanted to go back to construction in part because he liked it, right? You could see again the passion in him in terms of I like the stuff that I'm doing, right? I can't even tell Hank, is that a good decision or not, right? KentuckianaWorks has been running this construction pipeline project with the Louisville Urban League and with the unions and others to try to help people to prepare to get into the construction field. You know when we started it? In the fall of 2007. Right? If I was an investor, I bought high and I sold low. I couldn't pick a worse time in the last 30 years to do something to prepare people to get into construction, because the construction market has absolutely imploded as the economy has imploded, right? But what we're still seeing with people like Hank is there are employers looking for good employees, right? And the bet that Hank is making is if I do the work now to get this preparation and to get some of this experience, as construction comes back, I'm positioned to be able to get that job. I don't know if he's right or not. I hope so. Right? But there are no guarantees. There were no guarantees for me back in 1993. There are no guarantees for me in my job today. Just like Karstanjian lives from day to day on these kinds of jobs, the congressman has to report to the voters every 2 years. I'm a political appointee. I don't know if I'll have this job or not. So I have the same conversations with myself that I'm having with you all about these kinds of conversations. But the other thing I want to be clear about is now is when we have to talk a little bit about the big things that are going on in the economy so that you can be as intelligent as you can about whether you can succeed in the field that you're already in or not, okay? I grew up in PRP. I'm a Louisville kid. I love Louisville, right? My dad was a Valley High School grad. When my dad got out of Valley High School at the end of the 50s, right, he went to the Navy for 2 years, and then basically he got out and he went to work at Ford Motor Company. And at the time he did that, my Uncle Danny got out from PRP or Valley High School and went to work at GE, and all kinds of members of my family went to work for GE and Ford and International Harvester. And when I grew up in PRP, there were people working for the phone company and the water company and all those sorts of great blue-collar jobs, right, that made PRP a great place to live and made mostly dads, but some moms too, able to provide a middle-class life for their children and to give them the American dream, something better than what they had, right? Even today, there are lots and lots and lots of people in our region who are trying to do the same thing that my dad did, right? Which is have a high school degree and a good work ethic and try to get to a middle-class job. And this is where we really have to be frank with one another, right? That, again, I've met a lot of people coming in this morning that have college degrees and all kinds of other educational attainment things, and that's great. But you really have to think hard about what Karstanjian said is, to get in to see him, the resume has to pass the test. And one way that the resume passes the test is the education level what I'm expecting of this job? And even those jobs at GE that the congressman talked about, they had 60 job openings and 10,000 people applied, right? Now you got to think to yourself, it's going to be harder for me to get that job at GE now than it was for my Uncle Danny 35 years ago. when they were hiring hundreds of people and all you needed was a good work ethic. And once they got you there, they would weed you out, right? So part of the conversation has got to be, look, there are fewer jobs today that pay a decent wage if all you've got is a high school degree and a good work ethic. I wish there were more, and there are still some, but there aren't as many as there used to be. And what we're finding is when you do the projections of what jobs are going to grow across the country or what jobs are going to grow in Louisville, almost all of the jobs that pay decently require something beyond a high school degree. They require a professional certification, like the certified nursing assistant thing that you saw Willie got, right? They require an apprenticeship training, which is what you saw Hank doing by going into the construction unions and getting extra training, right? They require 2-year degrees. Not all of them require college degrees, but they require something beyond that first year, right? So I want to stop here and give you an example of another customer we've worked with who just completed a nursing degree, which is one of the fastest growing fields in our economy, and then we'll circle back again. So Dave, let's just play one more, all right?
I am a registered nurse with my bachelor's degree of science in nursing. The WIA program was the best fit for me, and it pretty much paid for full tuition for the last 2 semesters of my nursing program and gave me some money to take the state boards and some money for uniforms. Now that I have my degree and I'm actually working, I have a comfortable living. I just bought a brand new car out on my own, so everything fell into place once I got my degree and passed my boards. So I mean, it was just a tremendous, tremendous opportunity that was afforded to me. Well, the KentuckianaWorks program helped me become successful by giving me a career counselor. I mean, I knew what it was I was wanting to do, but the career counselor helped me get on track to graduate. It's never too late to start. If you even remotely have an interest in anything, pursue it. Pursue what's going to make you happy.
All right, so again, there's an interesting theme that you heard Daniel talk about, right? Pursue something that makes you happy. And I'm not claiming that everybody in this room has to reinvent themselves to find something that you have a passion for, right? But I do think it's important to try to connect. If you're at a moment in your life or in your career where you have a chance to think about these kinds of things, right? That's one of the conversations that I think you have to have. Do I have a passion for this, right? It turns out that I didn't really have a passion for being a big city lawyer in New York City back in the 90s, and a lot of people did, right? I remember working with this guy, and he would come in to work, right, and he would say to me, Mike, I was thinking about this case we're working on in the shower, right? Well, I can tell you, I never thought about being a lawyer in the shower, ever, right? Not for 1 second. And the only time I did think about it, I would be thinking to myself, I can't believe I have to go to this job for another 10 or 12 hours a day. I'm going to dread every minute of it, right? Well, now what I figured out, but it took me a long time, is if you're thinking that way about your job, it may turn out that you're not the best in the world at it or the best in the region, right? The job that I have now, I would do for free if I could, as long as I could feed the kids, because I get to work with people like the ones in this video and help them do what my parents did 30 years ago. Get a middle-class job and raise your family and give them the American dream. I love that stuff. Now, it doesn't mean I'm the best in the world at it, but I'm better at that than I am being a corporate lawyer, right? And so think a little bit about this passion idea just for another minute. I want to circle back. Let's just make sure that we're key on the economy, right? Lots of people in my family were in manufacturing. If you do the trend line of manufacturing jobs over the last 30 years, it looks like this, okay? Not just in Louisville, but across America. Okay? If you do a projection of the chart of what does the output from manufacturers look like over the last 30 years, it looks like this. Okay? What you have is they're making more and more all the time with fewer and fewer people, right? And yes, in this downturn, we've lost a lot of manufacturing jobs. But even when the economy was rolling in the 90s, we were losing manufacturing jobs. And what do economists project to happen in the next 10 years? We're going to lose manufacturing jobs. So it's a tremendous thing for the region that GE is adding some manufacturing jobs, right? But if you're out there and you have manufacturing experience, you've got to think to yourself, can I get that job? And is there anything else I need to do that I could go back to school for that might help me get a certification that would make me even better and even more competitive for that manufacturing?